what?
Huh.
Tomorrow? Yeah, here, you got to get this signed.
Right.
So I go, oh, okay, fine. Anyway, make a long story short, I go back to my commanding officer and tell him the sad story, blah, blah, blah. Can you give me the release? And he said, well, let me see your file. Okay, so I went and got the file, went back, he goes through. He said, was this the last time I saw you? Which was like in April, which was probably April or March or April. I said, yeah. He said, did I tell you like when I should see you again? I said, no. And he goes, oh, okay, fine. He signed my release, obviously. And so I go back to the training camp. Now, I tell you that story because I go back to training camp, and the training camp takes its toll. It beats me up. It's 2-a-days. And so, so I'm limping at the time and so on. And eventually, Chuck Noll does what he has to do, and he releases me at the end of training camp, and he says, go home, do what's necessary, get yourself, back in shape, and, we invite you to come back next year. Okay, fine. So I was devastated when I got a call that next morning from Dan Rooney, Art's son,
right,
who is now running the club. And he said, hey, I'm sorry I wasn't there yesterday. He said, I talked to Chuck. We're not going to take any spots on this team, but I'm going to put you on injured reserve and maybe have our doctors take a look at you and see what needs to be done. And they bought, which I got credited for. But that was a kind of family, because Dan's feeling was, hey, if he can serve our country, we can give him an opportunity.
Unbelievable. That's great.
And that's what they did. And so they gave me, they bought me a year and had another operation, but they gave me a chance to work out, to come back the following year.
Did you have to develop any kind of a prosthetic or a brace or anything, any special equipment for your legs?
No.
Really?
And I had some pads, just on my foot, but it wasn't, no, I didn't have any other special. They taped it, like they do normally and so on.
Right.
So it was fine.
That's unreal. Do you, and I mean, now something happens where you must have made the team and started winning football games. Is that what happened next?
Yeah, so anyway, so that year, so as I said, so I was on injured reserve and had another operation. I came back the following year. I just kind of have to put this in so I came back in 70 and in 71. They put me on the taxi squad. Okay, so the developmental squad, as they call. So,
right.
Which is a step up better than the year before, and so on. So then I came back the following year. Now it's 1972, a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, and I was the leading ground gainer.
Wow.
In the exhibition season.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We played 6 games, remember, back then.
Yeah.
Okay. Good enough to make the team. Never carried the ball the remaining part of the season. Back playing special teams, okay?
Right.
Came back the following year, 1973, a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger. By 1973, you have to understand, I weighed 218 pounds, which is a far cry from the 165 pounds I weighed when I came back from Vietnam. And I bench pressed 465 pounds.
Wow.
I squatted 600 pounds. And so I was the leading ground gainer during the exhibition season. Again.
Yeah. Give me a job after that.
Made the team, got to carry the ball once during the season. And so it was like 1974, in all honesty, like 1974, it was like, to come back, to make the team again.
Right.
To make the team again, I was going to have to fight with every free agent,
right,
draft choice, rookie, besides those who are already on the team.
Right.
To make the team. and I just didn't think it was going to work.
Right.
And I mean, I did come back. I made the team. I got a chance to play. More importantly, I got credited for my 5 years in the NFL for somewhat of a pension later on.
Right.
And I thought my life's going in another direction, and I left the team, and I quit.
Yep.
And I was in Chicago. I was selling life insurance for a friend of mine, and when I got a call, I think this becomes very important because you never know how your life's going to change. And I get a call from Andy Russell. Now, Andy played linebacker for us, and he was also captain of the football team. And he was coming into Chicago, and he called just because he wanted to get together, maybe for drinks or lunch. Hadn't seen one another, since the end of the season. As he said, it'd be great to get together again, but I'm not going back. And so I just declined, and he pushed, and I declined some more, and he pushed some more. And then he asked me the question, why? Well, the only thing I could blurt out at that time was, I quit. I'm not coming back. And he said, you can't quit. If you quit, what you have already done is that you have already made a decision for that coaching staff. Do you like them well enough to make decisions for them? He said, no, your responsibility, if this is what you want, said you come back and you make them make a decision. You back them in the corner. You give them every reason to either keep you or release you. But God, you don't cut yourself. I mean, the reality of this game is that we're all expendable. The reality of this game is we all can be cut at any time. But if this is what you want, then you don't cut yourself.
Yep.
And maybe it was just the arm twisting I needed from an older brother that I didn't have, and I went back. And everything that I had perceived did take place. I had a fight with every free agent and draft choice and rookie once again to be able to make the team. Leading ground gainer during the exhibition season. Now, I put this into context, and I tell you that. Now, the reason that I was the leading ground gainer in those preseason games in those years previously wasn't because the fact that I was bigger, better, faster than all the other running backs. It was the simple fact that I played more than anybody else during that period of time. I carried the ball more than anybody else during that period of time. Given those two simple statistics, I better be the leading ground gainer during that period of time because all they were providing for me was what? An opportunity to be able to make the team. And they had to keep me. And as I tell people, I was the fifth running back out of 4 at the beginning of the season. Back playing special teams. When things happen, Franco Harris, our starting fullback, gets hurt. The backup becomes the starter. I become the backup to the backup. Wow, I'd never been there before. So with renewed that first game, second game, third game, fourth game, right before the half, the backup gets hurt. And I'm inserted in the game at fullback.
Welcome aboard.
My running mate, guy by the name of Preston Pearson, who finished his career with the Dallas Cowboys. And I tell you this only because he breaks one 43 yards down the sideline, scores, gives us a lead. We go on halftime. We go over assignments, adjustments. Who's going to start the second half? I'm thinking to myself, maybe those guys that got you the lead in the first half. And we get to start the second half, Preston and I. And as a team, we win that game. Now, the following week was a Monday night game, an extra day of healing. Franco now becomes healthy. Damn. Oh, that's okay. At least I got a chance to play, show, prove what I could do. And we had a pregame meal. We were breakout groups afterwards. We go over last minute assignments, adjustments. And the coach looks around and he said, Franco, you and Rock will start tonight. You have to understand, momentarily I was quite confused. I didn't know how we both could play the same position at the same time.
Right.
When it dawned on me I wasn't going to play the fullback position as I had been playing. I was going to play the other running back position.
Right.
Nobody told me that. I wish they would have.
Yeah.
And we got a chance to start that game. And as a team, we won that game. We started the following week. And as a team, we won that game. And we started the remaining part of the season. And we won the division, got in the playoffs, won the playoffs, got to the Super Bowl, and won the Super Bowl for the first time. And played in 3 more Super Bowls. And in 1976, Franco and I became the second set of running backs in the history of the NFL each to gain 1,000 yards rushing in the same season. Now, I tell you this only because of the fact that the reason I got a chance to play wasn't because of the fact I was bigger, better, faster than all the other running backs. That was not the case. It was the simple fact that Chuck Knoll went to our backfield coach and he said, listen, you have a weakness in your backfield. Who is your best blocker? He said, Bleier. He said, then start him.
Yep.
One talent. And I tell people that because no matter how your career may go, no matter what you may do, we all have a talent, different than anybody else's. And it's our responsibility to be able to define that talent and to use it to the most and to the best of our ability. If it wasn't for that one talent, I never had that opportunity to be able to play or start playing all those games or to win those Super Bowls.
Hey, Rock.
So
things happen for a reason.
I learned.
Yeah, things happen for a reason. I don't believe in too many
Right.
coincidences. But, I from Atlanta, but we grew up in Miami. I moved down there in the late 50s. The only thing happening was George Myra, Seminole Indian with the Hurricanes, but we got a thing called the Miami Dolphins. And you remind me of one of my favorite all-time Dolphin players. Wasn't the fastest, wasn't the biggest. He was the fakiest, and he was the clutch guy. Do you remember Howard Twilley on the Dolphins?
Yes.
So I just, I say that was the Howard Twilley on the Steelers, the go-to guy. It's like, oh, he's not going to do anything, and like he's the guy that won the game. So it's like, and Howard was a character as well. So it's just amazing. I mean, I've studied a lot of your pictures and stuff, and the positions that you would have to get in when they needed 5 yards or just to get the touchdown. And here you are. You look like you're flying above all these guys that are like 6'6", and I don't know if somebody took you and threw you in the air, but you're up there and you're catching the ball, which is just freaking amazing. Hey, we're kind of running around out of time. I did want to cover some other topics here, which all ties in together. I have people every day. How did you meet Rocky Bleier? I said, oh yeah, we're like best friends and everything. Now we talk all. It's like, no, and folks, Rocky's a regular dude. That's the difference. I've been in show business since I was 5 years old. You got a lot of people out there. They're on some kind of big freaking trip. By the way, most of those people never last. Once their career's over or whatever, they can do other things. But Rocky's like B.B. King in the blues. B.B. was just a nice guy, willing to talk to everybody, wanted to share a story, and was an inspiration. But we had released the movie, and I wanted to talk about Back to China Beach, which is the name our military people gave the beach in Da Nang, which is beautiful. And there was a TV show called China Beach, 88 to 92, Brian Wimmer, Robert Picardo, Dana Delaney from Melrose Place, and then also Apocalypse Now, that crazy movie, which maybe not have been that crazy if you were in Vietnam, did the scene with Robert Duvall and them surfing in the middle of a battle. But we released the film without any celebrity in the film. Everybody in the film is a Vietnam veteran, including a lady, Carol Law, whose husband was an F-4 instructor. They didn't send him to Vietnam. They sent her because she was a USO manager, and the USO in Da Nang was the very first USO ever operated in a combat zone, which Da Nang was.
Right.
And which was, the first night she's at a bar up on the roof of one of the motels, and she goes, oh, it's going to rain, and her girlfriend goes, oh no, that's incoming. Those are rockets. They shoot them at us every night here. So hit the deck. But so we released the film in November to critical acclaim with hundreds of Vietnam veterans and their families. But we then kept getting more footage and more photographs and more stories, so we kept adding. So I kept saying to my director, Dave Barnes, two-time Emmy winner, I go, there's something missing in this. There's something, I don't know quite what it is. We need somebody like a Gary Sinise or a Mark Wahlberg, but they're not our age, and they didn't fight in Vietnam. I says, we need somebody that will give us some street cred, that this is like, unless these people are lying, this is like being there. And somebody sends me, said, Mike, have you seen this little video? Or it was like a mini documentary from ESPN of Rocky Bleier. And I go, what do you mean, the football player? And he goes, yeah, do you know he's got a Bronze Star for Vietnam? I says, I didn't have a clue. So he sends me this little, what was like 20 minutes, Rocky. And they take Rocky. ESPN takes him over there. He goes to the battlefield, which today I've heard many other stories about it. It's emotional. It's trying. I think with Rocky, he's never told me this, folks, but I think going back to the scene, because I have a friend he's been over there now 23 times with veterans that have a lot of issues, and 9 out of 10 of them feel better when they come back here and they go back and kind of face their demons, so to speak. But Rocky went there. I watched this. I was moved by the whole thing. So I knew the producer because I think he had worked for, I think ESPN may have been owned by ABC at the time. Every week we were doing in the region national news. We were what they call a go-to independent production group. So the only people who worked for the network was who you saw on TV, the correspondent, and then whoever the producer was. So I called this producer and I said, hey man, I got this. He goes, oh yeah, China Beach, everybody's talking about your film. And he goes, let me call Rocky. I go, yeah, call Rocky. He calls me back in 10 minutes. He says, Rocky said, give him a call. I says, bull. I go, what? I'm going to get a secretary. He says, no. This is just like a cell phone. So I call Rocky Bleier. I go, hey, this is Mike. He goes, hey, yeah, I've heard they're telling me about this film. He goes, send me some footage. I don't know if I sent you the whole thing or some clips. And Rocky, folks, he calls me back like a bud in 45 minutes an hour. He goes, this is great. What can I do for you guys? I'm like, what? Could you do like a minute or two in the beginning of the film to introduce the film? He said, send me the script. I sat down and like 2 minutes wrote the script. I set it up there. And he had another producer there that I guess because you do a lot of film work and you'd work with the Steelers and all. But anyway, so he did it, and we did a few little editing things. But your guy, I forget his name, we've become friends on Facebook. But that little bit of, hi, I'm Rocky Bleier. You probably know me as 4-time Super Bowl champion, but I'm also a combat veteran from Vietnam. And Rocky's not an ego tripper, but I can be for my talent. And along the bottom of the screen is talking about Bronze Stars and Purple Hearts and all of this. And it took our film to another level, Rocky. Even though you didn't get to surf in China Beach, I'm going to take you there one day. We're going surfing at China Beach. How's that? So it was.
Okay.
It affected so many people. And of course, I've talked to a couple hundred Vietnam veterans. We probably put 80 on film. There's about 30 actually made the cut. You know, you can't put everybody because you can have like a 20-hour film. But we did go to Vietnam in 2018, took a film crew, spent a week over there. And Rocky and I, we've had some laughs, including that producer, about the permitting and the fees and the Vietnamese police following you around. Did that all happen? Did that happen when you guys went over there? It was like a pain in the butt to get anything done.
Oh, yeah, that's right, it was, yes.
We went over there as a redneck family reunion from Pensacola. And we had all miniature XLR still cameras that shoot, what do they shoot, Mark? About 20 minutes of 6K video. It looked like we were shooting stills, but the very first day, I looked at our Vietnam veteran guide and I said, Ronnie, I think cops are following us. He goes, oh no, that's the secret police. They've been following us since the hotel. And I'm like, well, I pushed the envelope a little too far here. It looks like we ain't going home for a while. And so they kept trying to look in the cameras, and I'm like, so I look at the Vietnam vet guy to go, I learned this on the streets of Miami. I could psych somebody out, like making them think I'm crazier than they are. So I did that act, and I ran over to the guys, and I'm waving my hands. Hey, are you guys Vietnam? You're Vietnamese, aren't you? Hey, come over here. This is our family. We're from Pensacola, Florida. You know, the Blue Angels, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going crazy running around the scene, and I'm trying to drag these guys over to see the pictures we're taking. And I'm going, that's my aunt, but I think she's my cousin too. But, you know, we're from down south. We're all cousins. And these guys they could understand a little English. They finally looked at me like, you're the biggest nutcase we've ever met. They're shaking their heads, and they're walking off the beach. And I turn around, and our guide is in the sand, face down, laughing. I mean, he has just lost it. And I'm hoping they don't look at this guy. And so I go, Ronnie, what's happening now? And he was familiar. I mean, he was a truck driver at the Deepwater 3 years, and he got in a rocket through his truck one day. He got wounded pretty bad. And he goes, you're the biggest nut from America, but they need American tourists. So they've already called in on their walkie-talkie. They said, just hopefully those people got a bunch of money they can spend here. And the rest was history. I mean, we surfed, we went everywhere. We really got a feel of what it would have been like then, and we had people that were there in the 60s and that, what was that, the big 1K up there. But we went Monkey Mountain and Marble Mountain, and I got to surf. One of my friends, Pat Schultz, helped us on 3 films. She was from South Africa, which she was the '78 women's surfing champion of the United States, and we got to show her off a little bit there and to the locals. But that's my story, and I hope to go back there with you again. I mean, it is really, it looks like Fort Lauderdale, actually, to tell you the truth. And the people in the South, they love us, and they want us there. It's weird. You talk to the vets, and I do it with Ronnie, and Ronnie had gone over there because he had psychological issues. He hid in his hotel room for 2 weeks, and this dude's 6'6", about 240, no fat on him, and he was scared to death.
Right.
He was a little Vietnamese. He came out, and everybody's like, "Hey, can we practice our English? You're American. This is great." Blah blah blah. So he started taking the vets back, and just to help people because it helped him. But he ended up staying 3 years and married a Vietnamese gal. But he lives in Oklahoma now. But so to you vets out there, it's worth going. If you've got no help here, I'm an old surfer, retired recently. I may do paddleboard, who knows? But I got a titanium hip, so we'll see what that does. But there's something about the water too, and I think Rocky, you picked up on it watching the film. It has a healing effect. So let's talk about the other thing is, and I'm going to shut up here for a minute. The 30th in Fort Walton Beach, they are doing a humongous tribute to Vietnam veterans, and guess who the keynote speaker is? I couldn't imagine. You.
Me?
You're the star. And in fact, I had to bribe some people this morning to get tickets. But I'd have gotten in anyway. But anyway, so and a bunch of us are coming over that are actually in the China Beach movie or helped with it. We're all going to be there, and I think under our suits we're going to have China Beach T-shirts on, so you'll know us. And so we can't wait. And so tell me, so today, folks, and Rocky's he's very successful. What developer, builder? You're an insurance guy. I don't know. You got all kinds of businesses, right?
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
So, I mean, I guess it was two things. So my legitimate business is I own a construction company, so we're a general contractor.
Okay.
And so we're a service disabled veteran-owned small business general contractor, and we do work primarily with the VA hospital.
Awesome.
Around in Pennsylvania, in West Virginia, eastern part of Ohio, and so we've been on those jobs specifically. And then we also do from a corporate entity is that we have on Veterans Day we help my whole crew of guys. We go out and we do renovations on veteran homes. We'll come in and spend a weekend, rip it all out, put it all in, put new equipment in, whatever it is, and so on, to give them a better place to live. So we're very proud about doing that. So I do that, and then, the other business, I get a chance to go and speak to veteran groups, et cetera, and try to support.
And folks, he's playing that down. This guy is an in-demand public speaker, and I know you probably have a different presentation to it. This will be mainly a Vietnam veteran group you're going to speak to on the 30th, but I know you just do good motivational speaking and things like that.
Yeah, when I get a chance to talk to or Vietnam veterans, and it's just to kind of put it in perspective of that period of time, and the importance of of serving our country. I can only, as we well know, experiences are experiences, no matter where you are. Iraq, Afghanistan, the second Iraqi war that took place, and what they, and what they have gone through in those, and I talk about that, and if it's Vietnam veterans, then I'll talk about that. I'll talk about serving, and we were sent across the I-234 Corps, from the DMZ down to the Delta, and the commitment that we made during that period of time.
Well, along with that, I just want you to know, and this is what the Vietnam vets tell me. I said, I've had some guilt with me not going, and I had a lot of friends go, and friends, one of my best friends committed suicide 6 months after he got back. He was a 3-tour gunner and a Huey, but I think he went crazy with it, or something, whatever it was. But this is all. If I never make a dime from that movie, this is what means $1,000,000 to me. Is they say you are doing your service now, and I go, how's that? They go, because you're keeping our true story alive. You're keeping it going forward, because in schools, public schools anyway, they're not being taught anything about this. I mean, the parents tell me, the grandparents, they bring little kids to this film. I mean, I'll say, well, there's some National Archive. It's not gory, but there's some blood in there. There's some combat. They said they have to see this after. They think we all just went in there and killed babies. That's what we did for a living. No, we built orphanages. We did a lot of good stuff. Every war has problems like that, but.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it is, and it's so important, to be able to talk about it, and to get it out, and this is what people have gone through, and soldiers have gone through, and so on, and it's not always easy.
No, we had many. In fact, when we did these interviews, which probably reached 80 to 100 interviews, and of course they don't make the film, but we, if you see somebody on screen for 2 or 3 minutes, we probably interviewed them for anywhere from an hour and a half to 3 hours to get what we're, I guess you call the money shot in a way, which that can be used in different terminology, but whatever that is, it was like, that's a keeper right there. But a lot of them we explained, we can stop the camera, you can take a deep breath, whatever, you're in charge, whatever you want to do. But as we get into it, because Dave is a master at interviewing somebody who's just gone through a disaster, fires, tornadoes, loved ones lost, whatever. But we had many of them say, they'd say, well, stop the camera, and go, well, that one's over. And they go, I just want to let you guys know, I've never told anybody these stories. You even mentioned it in the intro. And then I would go, well, how do you feel? I feel better, And then when we show the film, the wives and the kids, and they all come out and go, this is the first time we're knowing a lot of this stuff. So it's kind of, we've heard bits and pieces that Dad put together, but then we see this, and now it all goes together, and it all makes sense. And, we don't take on the whole war. We focus on a particular topic of these guys landing in a beach and going, for 3 days, I'm back in Malibu. I'm back in Cocoa Beach. I'm back in Hawaii. I'm back, it's like a dream thing, and that's got them through the war, a lot of them. I mean, Larry Martin, who's Mr. China Beach, would shout out to Larry, who's just fighting cancer, and we think he's beat it. He was the main guy at the surf club there, but, he had a footlocker full of letters when he came in as our main consultant. And it was just, I was reading these letters. They were from Australia, they were from Hawaii, they were from New York, and just guys going, you helped me make it through that war in 2 days or 3 days at the beach, or when we came back. And, for a moment, you escaped. And, you got to eat steak and have a cookout and drink beer with your friends and all that. So it's, you could put people in the right frame of mind, and it does a lot. And I think these vets on the 30th, if they've never heard you speak, they're going to go, look at this guy. I mean, this guy's been wounded to hell. He's made it in the NFL, which you usually don't make it if you're, even if you are not wounded in Vietnam. And, so it's, you just, by de facto, you're an inspiration. And we all see that. And I know you don't make a big deal out of it, but it is a big deal. And so we love you, man. And we just can't wait to see you. And you got a lot of your pals you're going to see when you get to Fort Walton Beach. And you're welcome down here anytime, buddy. I mean, I got it wired, all the clubs, all the music. I got a big house out in the country, so I'll give you my house and stay here. So you may not want to go home now. And we have the Naval Museum here, which is incredible. And what do we got, Mark? We got 5, 6 bases, Air Force, Army, all military. So it's huge. It's a huge, and what a great place for us to start a film like this. We got it going because they a lot of them lived here, so it was easy to find them. So anyway, so we're going to sign out, and would you come back again and maybe talk about some of the funny things that happened in the NFL?
Okay.
All right.
We can do this. Yeah, anytime.
All right, brother. Thank you very much. Rocky,
all right, Mike.
Hang on the line here. Yeah, hang on the line here. We're going to clear the recording, and off we go. And we're good. Hey, Rocky, thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, buddy. I'll see you on the 30th.
All right.
God bless you. Thank you.